Party people! Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, where the gaming table is always set for two. I am your host, as always, Jeff Stormer. This week I am joined by Will Liam for a game of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Will is a member of Plus 2 Comedy alongside frequent guest of the show Noah Houlihan, where he does geeky stand-up at conventions, runs panels about game mastering, and chats with guests from all walks of life about the things that make them geek out every week on the Plus 2 Comedy podcast. He's great, and I'm really excited for you to hear this episode. On that note, let's throw it over to me in the past so he can get started with the show. Take it past me.
Thanks, future me. This week I am sitting down with Will Liam. Will, thank you for coming on Party of One.
Thank you for having me.
So right up top, why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners at home, talk about where they might know you from, if they don't know you, where they should know you from.
I am a comedian. I am the other member. I don't know why. I'm a member of Plus 2 Comedy. There's two of us. We do stand-up comedy and all kinds of panels at conventions, mostly in the Northeast, Otakon, Zenkai, Anime Boston. And if not there, then I do the Plus 2 Comedy podcast.
Yeah, I really like Plus 2 Comedy. I think I like your panels. You do a panel on GMing that I was a part of at GamerCon.
Yeah.
It was really good.
That was awesome.
That was great.
The first time we did that.
That was a really good panel. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so cool. So this week we are playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It is a game that I suspect a lot of people are familiar with. So why don't you introduce your character this week?
Oh, I am Beyoress Denetar.
Oh, I love random character name generators.
Well, usually it's just like a dumb, like a human name with a letter that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one went all out. This one made a jumble.
This one committed. It committed to the gimmick, and I respect that.
And I can only think of Pat Benatar every time I say my name.
I assume Denetar is like the ancient ancestral. So I assume you're a blood relative.
Yeah. This in the fantasy D&D world.
Yeah.
In fact, I am now related to a Pat Benatar.
All right.
But Beyoress, which does not sound like a man's name, he's a half elf. Is there half elf nobility? I just assumed they were all accidents.
There is. No, I assume there's half elf nobility. Well, here we're gonna do some world building. I will say that there's like an alliance of human and elf, and there's like a one central like kingdom where they like mingle.
All right, I'll buy that.
Yeah,
House Denetar is nobility in that city.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Beyoress is a second son, so he didn't get trained in ruling. He's a knight.
He's not the lord of the kingdom. He's sort of just around the court.
Yes,
that makes sense. I like that.
But he is still to be respected.
Sure, sure. He's a noble. That makes sense.
Damn right.
Okay, yeah. So what's Beyoress' personality like?
Well, he's never wanted for anything, and you know that develops well-rounded people.
Yeah, sure. Well-adjusted.
Yeah. So, he rightfully assumes that people are below him. He has a right to be treated with respect. And, fuck you, poor people. You should work harder.
Yeah, pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah. Like my family did. Well, I didn't, but someone did, because I have money.
At some point, somebody had to do it. Excellent. I'm very excited about this. So let's dive in. We begin our story in the court of Cosmopolitan, which is the name of the city.
Perfect.
Of this, like, beautiful mingling of human and elf. The court of Cosmopolitan. It is a very busy day. It is sort of, it's like one of those low-level diplomatic supplements is today. Or it's one of those low-level diplomatic summits is today, where it's like, dignitaries and all that kind of stuff are like coming from neighboring towns, and other houses within Cosmopolitan are like showing deference, and you're talking about policy stuff. It's all pretty boring. So, where does Beyoress find himself, like, in the middle of one of these proceedings, as House Tamberlin is, like, presenting their offering to to House Denetar and is proposing some like tax adjustment things.
That
Beyoress up
that
to?
sounds boring. So I don't want to. If there's like a mingling part, I'll be there for that. But if I have to sit and watch other people for a while, I'm just going to slip out.
Okay, sure. So yeah, so it starts out. So where it starts out is like there's a part that there's a first part of these like official proceedings is right up Beyoress's alley where they present a gift, like they present an offering.
Oh, I like this. Okay.
And like they make small talk and they sort of like show deference, and then once the official proceedings sort of happen, you as the second son are allowed to like go off.
Yes, and then I will do that.
So the attendants come up. The attendant from House Tamberlin
Okay.
comes up. They lay down their offering and they lay down this like it's a pretty meager like chest of coins and gems, and they're like, here's our tax gatherings, and from our local merchants and enchanters, they lay down this really beautifully, intricately crafted steel sword, and it's wrapped in fabric, but you can tell it's a sword because it's sword shaped.
Swords are want to be.
And let me ask you, what does Beyoress's, like, as a paladin, what does his detect evil, look like, or feel like, or, like, what does he experience?
You just get that little spidey sense,
Alright.
Did you watch the animated Spider-Man series from the 90s?
Yeah, where it, like,
just, like,
the
flashes red. Yeah, he's like, what was that?
Yeah, so they put down the sword, they start to unwrap it to, like, show you, and everything goes black light for a second as it starts to, like, flash clips from about 5 seconds further in the cartoon.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no! Something's about to happen with that sword! And they unfurl it, and the sword itself, like, twirls in the air, like, lifts up on its own free will, twirls in the air, slits the throat of the attendant that's offering it, and comes towards the representatives of House Denetar.
Yeah, you don't want to get sued by tokens.
So there's a flying sword coming towards you. We're not going to roll for initiative because you get to go first. So what does Beyoress do in this instant?
I'm going to try and draw my sword and knock that son of a bitch out of the air.
Okay, roll me an attack roll.
14, 12, 19.
Excellent. You smash into the sword. Roll me your damage.
D8 plus 3.
It goes like tumbling backwards into the ground.
9 damage.
9 damage. Perfect. Okay, yeah, it goes tumbling into the ground. But it tumbles backwards in such a way that it sort of goes into the, I guess what you'd call it goes into the carnage that's like behind it.
Uh-huh.
It sort of flies backwards. I'm going to need you to make a perception roll to see if you can spot it, or else see if you can spot it to see if it doesn't just look like another sword amongst the various, like, ceremonial sidearms as it is trying to hide.
I got a 12.
Okay. Let me roll its hide, or its stealth roll. Let's see. I guess that would be wisdom? Yeah. That makes sense. No, I'll call it dexterity. It rolled a 1. So, it tumbles backwards, and you can see, as you're watching it, you can see, like, it's very unnerving, you can see wheels turning in the head of this sword. Like, it is thinking of an attack plan. So you see it in midair, like, straighten out and dart into the carnage to, like, hide amongst all of the other ceremonial swords and stuff. But it does it in such a way that it is a sword, and you see it wobble. So it's like wobbling on the end as though you have just thrown a sword and it is jammed in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why it has failed its roll.
Okay. I want to drop my sword and try to grab this thing by the hilt.
Okay, that's going to be a grapple action.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm going to look up how grappling works. This is exciting. Do you know what something D&D has always made really seamless and
Oh
easy
yeah,
is
grappling's just been the greatest system. It's not so bad in this one, if I remember correctly. Versus 3.5. Don't bother.
Okay, make a strength athletics check. I'm also going to make a strength athletics check.
I'm proficient in this. I have +5.
Don't believe I don't have that, so it's just going to be a +1. I rolled a 4, so
I got a 16.
great. I figured there was a solid chance that was going to go in your favor. So you've got this intelligent sword in your hand. It's like still wobbling a little bit as it's trying to like free itself.
Who sent you?
It is going to, on its turn, try to escape the grapple.
I'm letting go. Fuck that sword.
Okay.
Also, can I curse? I've said fuck.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
All right, great. Cool.
Ooh, okay, yeah. I'm gonna need you to make a strength athletics check to beat a flat 20.
I got 16, so it's a 21.
Okay, yeah. So you hold on to it. It's still wobbling. You're like screaming at it, "Who sent you?" And you kind of feel it give. Like you feel it kind of like go a little bit limp. And it's not limp because it's still like a hard metal object, but you know
I
what
guess
I mean.
it's not trying to get away as much.
Yeah, and in your head, you see like just a quick flash, almost in the same way of like your detect evil worked. You see someone in like an attendant's outfit from House Tamberlin hand a sack of coin to an enchanter.
Mm-hmm.
Who then turn and you see like the sword behind them, and it's like not moving, like it hasn't been enchanted yet. But you see like that, like somebody in House Tamberlin garb has given money to the enchanter to make this for what seems to be this particular purpose.
Can I try to really commit to memory what this enchanter dude looks like?
Yeah, make me an insight roll.
9, 11. So 11 insight.
I will say that you know that it's someone in House Tamberlin. Like you know like about what station they're in to be like they're about like an attendant or a retainer.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. You can tell it's not someone of importance, but that's really all you've got.
Okay. I also, but like, I was trying to just like, I want to remember what the guy he's paying looks like too.
Oh yeah, sure. Like yeah, and you can tell that it's one of like the court enchanters. Like there's not many of them, and they are all kind of located in a specific area within like the castle town.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a solid idea on both like who made the deal, or like at least the positioning of who made the deal and who the enchanter is. You're able to commit that much to memory.
Okay.
But like specific details or anything, like you're probably going to have to make further rolls and really dig into an investigation to like figure that out.
All right. And the guy, the Tamberlin?
Yeah, House Tamberlin, yeah.
That's not the dude that's dead, right? There's only one dude.
It was there's a few dead. It like had been bolting around the room. But the person that presented the sword was a representative of House Tamberlin, but was clear like not on the same level as the person that you saw make the deal. Like this was like a peasant or like a dignitary or something. Not a dignitary because that's like a high up position.
Yeah, I got you.
Like a town crier almost, where it's like I come to read the scroll and give you your tribute.
Envoy.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's an envoy. It's not on par with like a retainer.
I got you. Are there any more Tamberlin people here?
I will say yes.
I want them all detained right now.
Okay, yeah. So because you're in a position of privilege, you have the ability to do that. So I will say that the remaining like attendants and envoys are rounded up and thrown in the castle cosmopolitan brig or dungeon.
Okay.
So they're there if you want to interrogate them or if you just want to detain them and take their rights away. Like, whatever you want to do.
They're suspects. You know, if one of them is bad, if one of those Skittles is poison.
Sure. You imprison all of them.
I imprison all Skittles.
Oh. Laugh so I don't cry.
I'm gonna have. Is there like a medieval not CSI?
Yeah, there's like a castle sheriff.
I just want him to ask if. I have a feeling they weren't involved.
Okay.
I just want to have him question.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for a roll. I don't exactly know what role it is, so I'm gonna look at like the skill list.
Okay.
And kind of decide, but I want a role not for you specifically to be like investigating this, but for your ability to sort of delegate and get the right people on the case in the right way.
Okay.
So I have to remember where skills are in the book.
I had a DM one time. Our group was it was some sci-fi role-playing group, and we were all rich people. And we had enough money that we had like soldiers and like people underneath us, and we would send them out to go do stuff for us. And our GM was like, "It's not a very good thing for you to do." And we were like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Think about it this way: Indiana Jones always does stuff on his own. The Nazis send people to do stuff for them." It's like, oh no, we're Nazis.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call this. I don't know. What do you think? Like an insight? No, we'll call it investigation, and I will say you can use
totally
use the higher of your charisma or intelligence.
I got a charisma plus.
Yeah, so give me a charisma plus investigation roll.
I got a 10.
Okay. You are correct in that nobody that was in court that day had anything to do with it. They were all as shocked as you are. A lot of them knew the envoy that was killed and were friends with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of, like, so they come back and they're like, yeah, they're all pretty shaken up. Like, we probably shouldn't keep them in the dungeon. But it's your call. You're the noble, the sheriff, who is this, like, sort of, like, older, paunchy, like, 2 days from retirement type. It's like, yeah, they've had a rough day. One of their friends is dead. We probably shouldn't keep them. But I don't have the authority to say that if you supersede me. So I need your word.
All right. They don't got to stay in the dungeon, but I want them under house arrest till we figure this out. So, like, they could stay in, like, a nice quarters, but they're not leaving.
Okay, then here's my second question. If we give them house arrest, I can put guards on them 24/7.
Uh-huh.
Because we live in a fantasy world that has 24-hour days and 7-day weeks.
Yeah, I understand.
I can put them under 24/7, but here's the deal. The borders, then we do not have enough people to, like, make sure no one is getting in or out. So there's a chance it puts a ticking clock on any investigation to, like, figure out who did this before they have a chance of getting out.
So you're thinking execution?
No, I'm just letting you know that there's a hard
You said
choice.
it. Don't, if that's what you want to do.
You know what? I lied. We got plenty of guys. I will make it work. But what I will say is that I think that it's going to have to be you as the guy that had the sword and got the best insight. You're going to have to head this investigation.
I am the most qualified for most things.
This is true. You're very qualified in a lot of ways.
Fine.
Please don't have me executed.
Then I will investigate this myself.
All right. So what is your plan for the investigation?
Also, the sword has not tried to move lately.
Yeah, you've sheathed it, and it is sort of, for now, showing some degree of deference. Or submissiveness.
I want to wrap a chain around the handle, and then around the sheath, so you wouldn't be able to pull it out. Does that make sense?
Sure, that makes sense, yeah. I will say you are able to do that, and there's still a chance it could fly away, but at least it can't get out of the sheath.
Cool. And I'm gonna try to wear this sheet, so I'm gonna have like 2 swords, like a samurai style.
That makes sense. That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, so...
And I'm fucking going to Tamberlin's, where I maybe kind of remembered this dude.
House Tamberlin, yeah. It's like a different section of the big... This is one of those big Rivendell-style castles.
Okay.
It's like on a cliff, so it's like a whole city.
No, what the fuck's the name? Gondor.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's like Gondor, where it's a whole city.
Rivendell is where
Elrond lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hugo Weaving
way
is who I was trying to think of.
Which is a very Lord of the Rings name.
Yeah. I don't know why they had to change it.
So yeah, it's one of those. It's like so they have like a it's almost like boroughs. Like if you think about like Manhattan.
Yep, I got you.
Each house in the city has their own kind of borough. So you head to House Tamberlin.
Yeah, but I get on a horse. It is solid, pure white. It's got a big feather on its head.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful horse.
And it is magnificent creature, and I'm riding over it.
Okay. So what are you doing once you get to House Tamberlin? Which is not, I will say, is not as nice as House Denetar.
No, you don't have to tell me that.
Okay, yeah. So what is your plan once you get there?
You said there's like a section where I could find enchanters.
Yeah, there's sort of almost a neighbor. Yeah, there's like a neighborhood where it's like kind of a bohemian type, big sprawl, like neighborhood of artists.
Yep.
And that's where you go if you want something made. It's where you go if you want something enchanted. A lot of the shops are here, so you get a lot of the adventuring parties before they go out stopping by to pick up potions and things.
Yeah, there's a lot of groups of people much nicer than me.
Yeah.
With friends. All right, well, I head there, and I keep an eye out for the guy, but if I don't see him, I start asking people if they know an enchanter that looks like the description I give them.
Okay, so make me a persuasion roll then. And we'll say you need a 15 to, like, get directed to him. Anything, and then a 10 to 15 gets you, like, kind of in the right direction.
I got a 12.
Okay. So you find not him, but another enchanter that is... You walk in. Think of the place from Gremlins.
Okay.
You walk in, he's this very old dwarf, and so it's got gray hair. And he's leaning back, he's like... You see him, and you start asking him about if he knows this guy, and he's like... is this an official investigation? Am I being detained?
No, you're not being detained. I'm just saying that, maybe I came in here and saw some illegal Mogwai trading going on, or maybe I didn't, but that all depends. If, you help me out, I'm out of your hair.
Okay, yeah, give me an intimidation roll, and if this goes, I'm gonna say if you get a 12 or better, then that breaks him. But if you get an 11 or lower, then things might go poorly for you.
7. I got an 11 exactly.
Okay, then I'm gonna pop open my... Yep. I'm gonna throw open my monster manual. And you are about to get attacked.
Alright, fuck this guy then.
Okay, so from behind you, does a 6 hit you?
No.
Okay, so somebody comes up behind you. Are you wearing armor right now, or are you just wearing, like, your fancy clothes? Either way, it's not gonna hit you, but...
Yeah. I would have my arm, like, full-on, knight-looking armor. I probably don't have my shield, ready right now, because I wasn't...
Sure. So somebody comes up behind you, and you hear the crack of a club or a shillelagh, against your back, but you're wearing armor, so, you just feel it, and it kind of knocks you forward a little bit. And there is, a much younger-looking dwarf that you can tell is sort of employed as this, shop's guard to sort of guard the Mogwai trading. So you just happen to say the exact wrong thing to be like, oh no, they're on to us. We have to kill this guy. So it is now your turn.
How dare you? You know who I am. And I pull my mace out and just try to crack him across the skull with it. Non-lethally?
Yeah, I'll call that, yeah.
I'm not trying to kill him.
So what'd you get?
13 plus 5 is 18.
Yes, you do hit him. He's kind of got like this bulky leather armor on, and you just clock him right in the head. Roll your damage.
5 damage.
Okay, so he stumbles back. You take him about half down. He like stumbles back. He's spitting up blood. At that moment, I'm gonna offer you a choice. The sword starts to like rattle on your hip and like bursts off, like blows off the belt.
Oh shit, son.
And it's like starts to like it's still locked in the chain, but it's just trying to get away. So you can take out this guard, or you can chase after.
I'm chasing this sword. That sword's not getting away.
Okay, then, unless a 9 hits you.
No.
Not rolling well today. He gives you another crack, and it shatters his shillelagh as you run, and he's just like, "Yeah, you better run."
Who is that guy?
And he like real smugly walks back into the shop, and the door closes. Make me an athletics and strength or dexterity roll, whichever like, and then describe to me like the way that you're sort of pushing through this crowd, because there's a crowd of people in this like neighborhood that the sword is sort of weaving through.
I'm like, move for your betters. It's just plowing over people if they don't move.
Okay, yeah, give me in that case, give me a charisma plus athletics, as you are also like bellowing at people.
Okay, so I'm proficient in athletics, but instead of my strength, I'm doing charisma? Okay.
Yeah.
14.
Okay, I got a 3. So you catch up. You not only catch up to it, but it darts into a window, into a shop, and you burst through the door. Like you kick it open, or you like shoulder check it open, and standing in front of you is the very man that you saw in your in your vision. And he's this, like, sunken-looking human that is wearing, like, enchanter's robes. So they're like, fancy, elegant, craftsman-looking robes. And he's got this little, like, pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a gnomish pick hammer so it's like for carving gems and crafting things.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that in his hand, and he's staring at you, and he immediately knows, like, what has happened, who you are, and he is ready to act.
He's not ready for me.
He's super not, because he rolled a 4.
Oh, good.
I've so far rolled once over a 5. And that was a 19, so it's a lot of extremes today.
So mine's just been floating around 10.
Yeah, so he comes at you, and he comes at you, but he's not a fighter, so you're able to, like, duck him.
Okay. I'm going to try to hit him in the stomach with my mace.
Okay.
Oh, how does critting work in this?
I don't remember. I'm tempted to say you automatically deal double damage, but I'm going to look it up.
I think it's double dice.
That makes sense, and I'll look it up just in case, but that makes sense if I can't find it real quick. Yes, when you score a critical hit, if you you roll dice twice and add them together. Add any relevant modifiers as normal.
Ooh. 11 plus 2 is 13.
That actually hits him.
No, well, that's the damage.
Oh, that's the damage, right. Yeah, he's dead. You...
Well, I wasn't trying to kill him.
Yeah, right, you take him out. I mean, he's out cold.
Oh.
So he comes to, I assume you've tied him up or something.
Yeah.
He comes to, what are you saying to him? What's your plan here?
I'm gonna grab him by, like, the collar of his robes and lift him up in the air. Right. Who hired you?
Alright, make me a charisma and intimidation roll for that. And he has advantage against being frightened. So instead of a 6, he gets a 7.
4, 2, and 8. 12.
Okay, yeah, he's like, you don't scare me. There's just gonna be another sword, and he's like looking, and the sword has started shivering in the corner, like in the sheath, and he's like, okay, I'll tell you everything. Just please don't kill me. Just please,
Okay.
please don't kill me. And he explains, so somebody came to me. It was an attendant. It was Zaxby.
Like the chicken franchise?
Yeah, he's from the the chicken cook, the castle cook. Yeah, Zaxby the cook. He came to me. He said he had been promoted to an attendant. That he had gotten word from somebody else. There's a whole daisy chain of people that had all sorts of awful things to say about House Denetar, and they said that we should do something. And he said he couldn't tell me who gave him the word, but he had gotten the word from someone else that I should enchant this sword and it should assassinate you and your family, and that House Tamberlin would ascend, and it would be a great moment.
You got hired by a cook?
Well, he was an attendant then, because he said that like somebody came to him and said that they were told to promote Zaxby to an attendant and to have him talk to me. It was a whole thing. Apparently there's a lot of moving and shaking going on in the upper ranks of House Tamberlin. A lot of people are being moved around.
All right. Do I in fact, can I do an insight?
Yeah.
To believe him?
Yeah.
17.
He's super telling the truth. And I'm gonna say you can ask one question as you further interrogate him. Like, you can ask me one question to, like, further narrow down what is happening. In addition to, like, knowing that he's telling the truth. Somebody is moving people around through, like, rumor and hearsay.
Do you have a way to contact Zaxby?
He says, of course I do. I'm a fucking enchanter. Of course I have a way to get a hold of Zaxby. And he takes out, like, this little intricate velvet bag of sand.
Mm-hmm.
And he flips it over. And he sort of pours it in a circle. And it sort of, smoke starts to rise and it swirls. And Zaxby starts to, like, take form. And Zaxby looks sort of like a fantasy Matthew.
I am ducking. Because if this is like a video call, I don't want him to see me.
Alright, yeah, perfect. So you duck behind a table, and Zaxby appears. He looks sort of like a fantasy Matthew McConaughey type. And he sort of stands up, and he greets the enchanter, and he says, like, oh, well, didn't expect to show up here at this time of day. Guess that means the plan's a success, am I right?
Or was it? And then I try to grab him.
Oh no! Okay, yeah, so, you, like, step out from the shadows, you grab him by the throat, you jam up against the wall, and he crumbles like a straw house.
Good, he should be.
And he starts, like, immediately gushing about how it wasn't his idea to come to the enchanter, how that was Thurber's idea, and he sort of points you in the direction of Thurber, and so you sort of, like, we get a whole montage of, like, you chase down Thurber, who points you in the direction of another person, and there's this whole big, long, daisy chain of command going on.
I'm beating all these people.
Yeah, you're dunking heads in toilets, you're cracking skulls. It's real Sin City-esque, this, like, investigation montage that we're seeing right now. But, the end of montage ends, we finally get to, like, sort of a head underwriter for Lord Tamberlin himself, who is, like, in charge of, like, signing checks and things, basically. He's sort of newly installed, tying into this whole, like, people are moving around, all that kind of stuff. And he starts going into, like, yeah, I was told we needed revolution. That's what my benefactor kept saying, was we need a revolution. And so I sort of passed that along to my chain of command, And about that's the moment that a knife goes into his chest.
Who put that there?
And out from the shadows, you see, presumably the person that put the knife there, this sort of person in tattered robes, big thick hood, just burst off and take off running.
Poor people. I chase him.
Okay, make me another strength and athletics.
I got a 4. I got a 9.
Okay. Let's see what he gets. He gets a 10. So you're close. Like, you're on its heels. And speaking of its heels, you notice that its feet are very weird. Like, you're not seeing a lot of it, but you're noticing that human beings don't tend to have bird feet.
No, they don't.
But it ducks in, but like as you're sort of chasing it, it ducks into an alleyway, and it's just gone. It blends perfectly into the crowd. I'm gonna need you to make a perception check in order to like figure out where this thing is.
I got a 15. I rolled.
So yeah, it's gone. Like whoever stabbed that guy and whoever told him to like strike was gone. Or so you think before, like a knife just comes right at your head. Or rather, like, no, it's actually like a person with a knife is just lunging at you from the crowd. So he dives at you, does an 18 hit your flat-footed armor class.
Yeah, I don't know if the armor I have even accounts for my dex bonus in this, but it hits me because I'm a 16 without my shield, and I wouldn't have my shield up. I've been chasing people around all day.
Oh, plus it gets advantage because it's in the shadows, so it's gonna pretty much hit you no matter what.
Yeah, it definitely hits.
So take 9 damage.
All right, I'm still conscious.
Okay, yeah, so it like rips into you with this big sharp knife, and this is sort of, you finally get like a full sight of the thing.
Wait, then what is it?
It is, let me figure out exactly how big they are. It's like a 3 or 4 foot tall bird thing. It has the beak of a crow. It is wearing ill-fitting robes and rags and a cloak. And it's got these like dirty, filthy talons, and it's wearing this like stinking patchwork robe, and in its hand it has one of those, like a kukri, or just like one of those like fancy daggers type things.
Yeah,
and it looks at you and it shrieks, and for a moment you hear it in the exact voice of the guy of Thurber, the guy you were talking to that had just been killed. You hear him say, Denetar is scum. This is our time to strike. And it's a perfectly mimicked voice.
Is this a Kenku?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. My guy doesn't, but I know it.
I like Kenku. I was really excited to...
I think they're fun.
I feel like it's a cool villain to use in like a noble type setting. So yeah, it has stabbed you. It is now your turn.
Bird's dead. How dare you attack me? A noble human? I draw my sword.
Alright, make your attack roll.
5 plus 18, 23.
Excellent. You smash it. Roll your damage.
5 damage.
Okay. It's still standing. It is going to try to jump into the crowd again. And now there's like a panic. So I'm going to give it advantage. It didn't need it because it rolled better the first time, but roll me a perception, or if you have a way to like disperse the crowd, you can use a different skill, but you want to beat an 18.
Plebeians, get out of my way.
Okay, I'll totally accept that as an intimidation or persuasion, whichever one you want to.
Oh, intimidation.
Yeah.
16, 20.
Beautiful. So the crowd disperses, and now it is just the two of you standing. It is now standing there perfectly still, a little bit freaked out, not sure what to do. You've kind of outwitted its plan. It is now your turn to act.
Wow. I'm going to hope it doesn't just take off again, because I'm going to touch myself.
Okay.
And I heal 5 hit points.
Okay. It is going to see your moment of weakness, and it is going to strike. Not well, it gets a 10.
No.
So it is now, like, up close and personal as it has tried to stab you, and it just caught your armor.
It's getting a mace to the tummy.
Alright.
23.
Yeah, you smash it. Roll your damage.
3 plus 3 is 6.
Great. It is wheezing and coughing, and as it wheezes and coughs, you hear it say things like, prepare a flying sword. Or like, yeah, a flying sword would do the trick. We will pay you handsome. Like, random
And they're all
bits
different
of, like,
voices.
Yeah, and it's all, like, now that you're hearing it, you can kind of piece together what happened, which is that it just kind of absorbed, like, court speak.
Mm-hmm.
And was using that to, like, position itself as the worm in someone's ear.
Mm.
And it is going to... I'm gonna say it is gonna try one last time to, like, crawl... It is gonna try to, like, climb up a fantasy fire escape. Or, like, Aladdin style, like, along some carts and things, and try to hide.
Gotcha.
It does very well. It does a 24. Roll, like, a perception to try and, like, figure out where it's at.
Just a roll. I rolled a 19.
Okay, yeah, it successfully hides. What do you do now that it's hiding? Like, do you prepare Do you prepare to do something else? Like, do you have another action planned?
I mean, did I get a general idea of the direction it headed?
Yes. What I'm gonna say is you got close enough that I'm comfortable saying, like. So the thing about Kenku is they have this ambusher trait, which gives them advantage when attacking from the shadows. I'll say you got close enough to essentially, like, take away that trait. You have a general idea of where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, basically, like, you rolled well enough that, like, you know where it's coming from, even if you can't see it.
Okay.
So what do you want to do now?
Well, I'm gonna pull my shield out, and I'm gonna try to go to where it looked like it went. Like, real slow and tense, like in a movie where I don't know where the bad guy is, and I'm just, like, turning stuff over it might be hiding under.
Okay, yeah. So, like, you're moving through the crowd, and the crowd is kind of parting to both sides as you walk through. And you come up to this cart, and you flip it over, and the Kenku is underneath. It sort of jumps at you, but you've got your shield at the ready. So I'm going to roll its attack roll, but I'm going to give it, like, disadvantage because you kind of know what it's about to do already.
Okay,
So it's good, because it rolled a 20. So it got an 11, so does a 16 hit you?
What? I'm sorry, what was the number?
A 16.
No, not with my shield.
Okay, yeah, then you're good. Then you are good to attack on it.
Just closed out of my TDS. But I saved it, so we're good.
Yeah, so go ahead and make your attack roll. What happens is, like, you flip the thing, it kind of tackles you, but because you've got your shield ready, you're able to, like, I guess basically, like, back body drop it almost, where it, like, lands on your shield and you just sort of toss it backwards, and it goes tumbling. So it, like, kind of lands awkwardly on its feet, leaving you ready to, like, make your attack.
Okay. I'll try to bop him on his head.
Alright, roll your attack.
5 plus 11 is 16.
You hit it, roll your damage.
6 damage.
Great. You describe how you kill it or defeat it. You've beaten it.
I'm just gonna bash him in his beak with my shield and try to just knock him
Okay, yeah, you, like, smash up his beak so it can't speak anymore, which is real poetic. And it stands there for a second, like, ready to fight, and, like, it's got its fists up, and then it just, like, flops right over. It's done. So the final question, sort of the final postscript is, what do you do, like, what do you do now that you've sort of pieced it all together?
Do I think the Kenku started all this?
Yeah, you've got a pretty good idea of what happened, which is that the Kenku was trying to, like, institute basically a coup.
A Kenku? Yeah, guys, you like it?
Yeah, it was, like, using just random bits of dialogue that it heard around court to, like, institute this very elaborate, like, coup attempt.
Huh. I guess I don't get his endgame.
His endgame was that, like, he was sort of hanging around the people that would have been in charge, and he would have lived off of their scraps.
So he just wanted better scraps.
Yeah.
Filthy non-elves and humans.
Yeah, they're just... Well, Kenku are just greed animals. They just want things.
Yeah, this is what happens when you just let them immigrate into your cities.
Things. So it was just trying to get nicer things.
Yeah, they're just the gimme race. Scraps, healthcare. It's ridiculous.
So I guess the last scene I'd like to see is like we cut back to the next one of these business meetings. Let me ask you, like, what has changed now that all of this has happened? What is different about like Beyoress's attitude? What is different about like the general like performance of all of this? What has changed for the better or worse coming out of this?
Well, what's changed is now there's a sweet raven skull on the pauldron of my armor. As a constant reminder to stay in your place.
The perfect note to end on. And that's game. Will, thank you so much for playing. This is great. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me. That was. I miss D&D.
I like it a lot. And it works really well. Like, 5th edition, like, I really like the way it plays with a single player. Particularly because, like, the adventure design stuff is actually really helpful. And it makes sense. This is the first one where I've played it and felt like I understand how challenge breaks down and how to, like, adjust it for different party sizes.
Yeah, the challenge system I never understood it in 3.5. It's so much better.
They do a lot better job. The DMG does a lot better job of, like, explaining how things fit together.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. It makes it much easier to make things and to prepare things.
Yeah, the Dungeon Master Guide is maybe my favorite role-playing book, just in terms of, like a must-read for running or being in a group.
Yeah, it's really well done. I gotta give him credit for that. So, Will, before we...
So there's your plug, Wizards.
Yeah. Take your blood money, Wizards. So, Will, before we wrap up, where can people find you online? What do you have coming up? All that good stuff.
Yeah. If you want to listen to our podcast, you can go to... it's podbean.com/plus2comedy, or we're on iTunes. We're on all the Stitcher, Podcast Addict, all that stuff. We got a Twitter. We have a Facebook page. So anywhere just Google +2comedy. You'll find us.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Party of One. This has been great. This has been a blast. I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me.
Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Will for coming on to the show. That was a blast. Be sure to check out the +2 Comedy podcast, and be sure to Google +2 Comedy and find out whenever they're performing. You can also follow +2 Comedy on Twitter +2 Comedy, and you can follow Will on Twitter @Asgards_Hammer. He's probably performing at a con near you in the very near future, so you should absolutely go check it out. Meanwhile, you can follow this show on Twitter @PartyOfOnePod, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. If you really love this show, consider backing us on Patreon at patreon.com/PartyOfOnePodcast, or just give us a nice iTunes review, social media shout out, or word of mouth recommendation. Any of the above things help the show grow and do new, cooler, better things like live shows, panels, convention appearances, and more. You can also check out my other show, All My Fantasy Children, in which Aaron Catano and I take your listener prompts, turn them into living, breathing, vibrant role-playing game characters. It's a lot of fun. I think you're going to love it. If you love this show, you should check it out. Party of One is produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megarain, featuring the D&D Sluggers. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, or you're interested in coming onto the show, shoot me an email at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, party on.
Never gonna die.